All right. Everybody, we are live with Rick Smith. I'm Katrina Gallick with the March for Life, and we are joined by one of our conference speakers and our youth rally speakers, Rick Smith. So please introduce yourself.
Welcome. Glad to be here. I'm from Dallas. So hello, everyone from Texas.
All right. So just start telling us a bit about yourself and about your family.
Yeah, I'm sharing this out to our page real fast so that people can join us. So we are in Dallas, and one more page here, and then we have a Facebook page. Okay, so yeah, we're in Dallas, and we have 3 children. We have Noah, who's 7, who we found out several hours after he was born that he was born with Down syndrome, which we'll get into that. We have a 4-year-old named Jackson who likes to play sports, and we have a baby who will turn 1 this week. So we have and 2 dogs, and so we've got a packed house.
All right. Now, recently you quit your job and started a new adventure, new organization. So, do you please just tell us a bit about Hope Story?
Yeah, so I transitioned out of my job at Watermark I was there for over 5 years. Watermark is a large church in the Dallas area with 4 campuses, and I was there for a little over 5 years. And my wife and I had this idea years ago to find a way to connect with medical professionals because 67% of children prenatally diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted. So what that means is more than half of the people who receive this prenatal test abort their child with Down syndrome. So less children make it out of the womb than that make it out of the womb when we're talking about prenatal testing and things like that. And so you just kind of go, man, we have this child with Down syndrome whom we love, who is a blessing to our life, who has made our life better. And, I'm a Christian. So, he was made in the image of God. He is an image bearer of God. And we go, man, so many families are choosing to end the life of this child. How can we help that? How can we step into that and do it in a way that we're not screaming at people? We're not standing outside abortion clinics and yelling at people going in there. We wanted to find a different way. So what we're doing is we have a goal with Hope Story. It's hopestory.org. And there's a video on our page that you guys share that kind of shows people how this process works. But what we want to do is we have this goal to connect every OBGYN in America to a family raising a child with Down syndrome. And we believe if we can do that, what will happen is we want to recruit, train, and resource families that have kids with Down syndrome so they can be a resource to their OBGYN. So if their OBGYN gets a patient who has a child with Down syndrome, a prenatal diagnosis, or even a postnatal diagnosis, they can say, hey, you know what? My office is connected with a Hope Advocate. They're one of my patients. I know them. And here's their business card. They would love to talk with you. And then we want that family to connect with the other family and just have a friendship, just for someone to sit down with them over a cup of coffee and say, hey, I know you're scared. I know this isn't what you thought was going to be the story of your life, but you're not alone. You can do this. You have a friend in me. And what we hope is that through that relationship, that all of these women will choose to bring their baby to full term.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you mentioned the unfortunate and very tragic abortion rates of babies who are diagnosed with Down syndrome while in the womb. And I was wondering if you could just go more into what that's like as a father of a little boy with Down syndrome, on a personal level, knowing, these tragic rates.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting being a dad because, before I was a dad of a child with Down syndrome, I was pro-life. I believe that life starts in the womb and that person is a person all the way until natural death. And so we want to come around and we want to celebrate life. And so I always believed, not just as a Christian, but scientifically that babies are babies in the womb. I've been to a sonogram. I've heard heartbeats. That's a person in there. And so, but before Noah was born, I was pro-life. After Noah was born, I was still pro-life, but I go, man, so many people are missing this beautiful story because they choose to close the story before they even get a chance to open it. And, doctors, medical professionals want to lead women to believe, hey, you're not very far along. You can go down to this clinic, have a little procedure. You may even be home by dinner. No one has to know. But you know what? That's not true, because that woman's going to deal with that for the rest of her life. And I believe that God can heal, restore, and redeem anyone that's had an abortion. So if that's your story, man, God is in the business of healing you, and he can forgive you, and he will forgive you. But if you've yet to do that, man, I want to do everything I can to help you to go, hey, you're going to think about this for the rest of your life. And just because you abort the life of a child, you're still a mom. You are still a mother. And man, you're going to think about that little boy or that little girl that was in the womb the rest of your life. And I would rather you think about that boy or girl when they're sitting in your lap than reflecting on the regret that you took their life. And again, I don't say that to put guilt and shame on people, because God is in the business of forgiving you, man. If that's your story, man, God can use your story. But man, I want to just warn you to go, hey, I don't want that to be your story. Man, I want you to celebrate life. And so when I look at Noah, I go, man, gosh, there's so many women who are choosing to abort this child. And really a lot of women, I think, even abort, there's a quad screen now. So it's not even 100% accurate. So there's a lot of people out there, I think, that are aborting thinking that their child is going to be born with Down syndrome, that doesn't even have Down syndrome, but yet just the thought that the child might, they go, man, I'm going to go ahead and end this life of this child. And people use all sorts of words, rhetorical devices to try to make themselves feel more comfortable. And I get it, right? They say things like, well, it's not really a child yet. It's not really a baby yet. We're not that far along. It's just a lump of cells. And I understand why people say that. I understand you have to say that to go to sleep at night. But that's a human. That is a live human being. And they have rights, and they have a choice. And so when people say, hey, I'm pro-choice, what I want to tell them is, hey, man, what you're really saying is you're for your choice. You're not for the choice of the child in the womb, because I've never met a person with Down syndrome that says, man, I wish my mom and dad would have aborted me. They all want to be alive. And so I go, man, we got to respect. I'm for women's rights, by the way, women that are outside the womb and women that are inside the womb. And so let's let them all have rights, and let's celebrate life. And so to anybody out there who has had a prenatal diagnosis, and maybe you're right now watching this going, man, what should I do? I want to just tell you, one, you can do this. Parenting is not easy. And it doesn't matter if you have a child that has 3 copies of his 21st chromosome like mine, 7-year-old, or if you have a child like my 4-year-old who is rambunctious and all over the place, who I love dearly. Parenting is hard, but it's worth it. And, there's actually, people that have a child with special needs, they would tell you that it is one of the greatest blessings of their life. And before I had Noah, I would think, well, that's just what you got to say that. It's like if you get cancer and you go, man, cancer is such a blessing. And you kind of go, man, that's just what you got to say. But man, I got to tell you, next to my relationship with Jesus, my marriage to my sweet wife, having Noah is one of the top 5 blessings in my life. My life and my family's life is significantly better because Noah is in our life. And so, man, if you have a child with Down syndrome and you have a prenatal diagnosis, I got to tell you, it is a blessing. And he will be a gift to you. He or she will be a gift to you, a treasure to you. And man, yeah, I want more kids with Down syndrome to be born, because quite frankly, we are moving towards exterminating an entire people group. Our society, our culture, the world, they want to eradicate kids like my child, like my son. They want to make them extinct. And so, man, I got to do everything I can, because if an entire population goes extinct, then all the research, all the things that are going to make the quality of life for my son and his friends better, that's going to go away. Because if you don't have the people, no one's going to fund research. There's other organizations doing that are out there trying to help fund research. Global Down Syndrome Foundation, that's one of those organizations. They're trying to help cure, help out with Alzheimer's. They're trying to help out with cancer, other things, other studies that these other groups are trying to help. And if you don't have a people group, no one's going to do the research because there's no people. And so I want these people to be born, one, because they're humans and they deserve life, but two, I want there to be more, I want the quality of life to improve for them. And so, I heard it said that there has never been a better time in the history of the world for a child to be born with Down syndrome. And that is true today, and it's even more true tomorrow, because all the resources that are available, they continue to grow. And so, man, it's a great day. I'm thankful that Noah wasn't born in 1955, where we put kids like Noah in an asylum. Noah's in second grade now. He's in a typical classroom. He gets pulled out for some of the day. He has a lot of friends. He's loved by his brothers. He's loved by his family. Kids, we had a 4th of July parade in our neighborhood this summer. Kids were outside screaming Noah's name. Noah is a gift. And if you have a child like Noah in your womb, man, that child is a gift.
Now, if there are any doctors watching now, what advice would you give to doctors when they're delivering the pre-diagnosis?
Yeah. Well, if you're a doctor, we want to talk to you. So go to hopestory.org, click on contact. But listen, if you're a doctor, you need to know this, that you are the professional in the room. You are the authority. People look up to you. And so I understand that most medical professionals don't deliver this diagnosis very often, 0 to maybe just a couple times a year, the prenatal diagnosis. And so you may feel a little uncomfortable. You may feel nervous. You may wonder, how's the conversation going to go? But you have got to be the one that takes a deep breath, sucks it up, opens that door up or picks that phone up, and you go in there and you tell that family, congratulations. You don't say, I'm sorry. You don't go in there talking about what a burden it's going to be. You say, congratulations. That's a baby in that mom or dad's womb. And you say, hey, you're going to be okay. And I know this is a surprise to you, but man, congratulations. Our OBGYN, one of the first things that she said to us was, I'm so sorry. You never tell someone that just had a baby you're sorry. Anytime a baby is born, it always calls for congratulations. And so you say congratulations, and you say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do everything I can to help you. I'm going to connect you to resources. But you set the tone. And if you go in there, we told a story on our website. If you want to read it, you can go there. And it was a woman who had a prenatal diagnosis, and her doctor repeatedly tried to encourage her to abort their child. There was a point where the woman's husband wasn't in the room, and without the husband in the room, the doctor said, hey, are you sure do you really want to go through this? I'm paraphrasing here, and then went on to imply that he had a nurse on his staff that was very Catholic, and she aborted her baby. And you just go, man, that's borderline malpractice. I'm not an attorney, but man, you should not be telling your patients that. And so, unfortunately, I think that's a common experience with women. I think women have a negative experience with their medical professionals, and we want to help that. We want to help, and we get it. I'm not trying to knock doctors. Doctors do a great job. We want to give them tools and resources to help them, because they set the tone. And if you're the medical professional and you go in, talking about how bad it's going to be, how expensive it's going to be, how you can go have a procedure and no one will never know, and you can go try again, man, that's irresponsible. That's irresponsible. And it's not true, because that person that's having the abortion, they will know, and they'll know for the rest of their life that they did that. And man, we want to get that. And if you're a doctor, you took an oath to help people. You took an oath to help people. And if you're encouraging the destruction of a child, man, you're not helping that child. You're destroying them. And so I don't say that to not guilt and shame on you, but man, you've got a job to do, and you need to go in there and say, hey, I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you. You can do this. Let's roll, and let's just move one day at a time forward, and be by their side. Don't make them feel guilty and bad because they choose life. You say, hey, you know what? Let's do this, and deliver that baby and help them.
Absolutely. Very well said. So in raising Noah, what has been the most surprising thing just about, about him and about how he's changed your family and your life?
Yep. Yeah, great question. I think the most surprising thing about having a child with Down syndrome is how much he is alike kids than dislike them. How much he has in common with kids that don't have Down syndrome. Noah is more alike than different. And when we first had Noah, I wonder, like, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be, is he going to like to do things that other kids like to do? Because he was our first son. So I'm like, man, is he going to want to go out in the front yard and throw the ball around with dad? Is he going to, I like to go to New York City. Is he going to want to go to New York City with me? And so first of all, even if he didn't, even if he was bedridden, man, his life would have dignity and worth and value. And so I needed to adjust my mindset, because someone's worth doesn't come from if they can come out in the front yard and throw the football around with you. Their worth is because they're made in the image of God and they're human. And so, but as Noah has gotten older, I'm like, man, there's just not. Yeah, sure, he has Down syndrome, but it just isn't something that we think about too often. And he's just Noah to us, and he's a fun-loving kid. He likes to go to amusement parks. He likes to ride roller coasters. He loves the water slide at any kind. If you've got a pool, Noah wants to come to your house and jump in your pool. He's just so much like other children, and I wish if I had a time machine, I could go back in time and tell myself, hey, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. He's going to want to do the things that little boys like to do. He likes to watch the Cars movies. He, watched the new Incredibles movie yesterday, some of that movie. And so, yeah, so he has more alike than different. So.
Yeah, beautiful. So you mentioned what your advice would be to doctors when they're, giving the diagnosis, but to the pro-life community as a whole, what advice would you give, or how can we as a community really help these families and then doctors as well, who have Down syndrome?
Yeah, a couple ways. I think one is if you have a friend whose child has a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome, or they get results back from their OBGYN, that you be a friend to them. And it may be awkward. You may not know what to say. It's okay to just go, hey, I don't know what to say. I've never gone through that before, but you're not alone. You have a friend. I want to talk to you. People love to talk to you about their families, their kids, their concerns. And if you know someone that has a child with Down syndrome who's a friend, it's okay to go, hey, tell me what life is like for you. What's school like? What's friendships? What do you worry about? It's not awkward for us to talk about our kids, so don't feel awkward. But if you have a friend who gets those results, just say, hey, I'm here with you, and we're going to figure this out together. And people just want to know, hey, you're not alone. And you just talk about the elephant in the room. You say, hey, I don't have a child with Down syndrome, but man, I'm in it, and you don't either. I mean, and you do too. He's in your womb, he or she, and it's new to you. He or she is new to you, but we're in this together. Let's figure this out together. You're not alone. And then I think finally, we want to eventually help you to get resources to give to your medical doctor, your OBGYN, so that they can learn about Hope Story. They can learn about our resources, because we think the greatest resource you can give a new parent is another parent. We think the greatest resource you can give someone is a friend. And so we can make the most beautiful pamphlets, and I think we're going to make some really great collateral, but we think the best thing we can give someone is a friend. And so we want women to tell their doctors, their medical providers about Hope Story, our resources. If a doctor out there has a patient that has a Down syndrome their child has a prenatal Down syndrome diagnosis or postnatal, they can go to our website, click on contact. Even right now, we can virtually connect them to another parent. So heck, they can call me, and I'll be their Hope advocate. And so, so any doctor anywhere in the United States can come to Hope Story, and we will have a parent contact their patient. And we want more doctors to know about that. And the other thing is that I want people to know is the goal of the Hope Advocate is not to beat someone over the head with politics. Okay, they're not going to ask the new mom, "Hey, who did you vote for? What's your political stance on abortion?" They're not going to beat them over the head with the Bible. Our goal is for them to just be their friend and tell their story. And we think that stories have the power to remove fear. And when you remove fear, you give people hope. And so we want people to tell stories of hope. That our organization is called Hope Story. And so we want the medical community to know, hey, you don't have to feel uncomfortable connecting your patients to our families, because we have families. I think we'll have families that are all over the political spectrum, the faith spectrum. Maybe they don't even have a faith, but what they all would agree on is, man, my child is a blessing to me. My child is good, and I want to tell you the story. And we believe if you're a parent and you have a child with Down syndrome, no matter the things we disagree on, the thing we do agree on is that our children are a blessing, our children are a gift, and we want more of those kids to be born. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rick, and for taking the time to share about your family story, and then also with your organization, Hope Story. So where can people go to find more about you and about your organization?
Yeah, hopestory.org. That's the best place, hopestory.org. You can sign up for our emails. There's an email form there on the bottom. We're on Facebook. You can see, if you just type in Hope Story, you can see our trailer that I talked about, our little video of how we hope the Hope Advocate process works. You can find me on Twitter, Rick Smith. And then Noah has also noahsdad.com. If you type that in Google, we have all kinds of stuff. And if you're in DC and you want to learn more about what we're doing, we'll be there. We'd love to talk to you, shake your hand, tell you more about Hope Story and how you may be able to get involved and help us get more babies out of the womb and bring hope to other families.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Rick and his family is going to be at our March for Life conference and then also at the youth rally. The conference is really set up to do a deep dive into the theme. This year, our theme is unique from day one, pro-life is pro-science. So we're going to really do a great deep dive into all of that. And then our youth rally, where Rick and his family will also be, is going to be a really fun, upbeat, educational time for middle school students and also as well. So be sure to go to marchforlife.org to learn more about both of those events. And
well, I just wanted to say, I think it's awesome that you guys are doing a youth rally, because if you're a young person out there, you're a teenager, you're watching this, that's awesome, because you could be playing Fortnite or something else. But the world that you're going to grow up in is going to tell you, they're going to continue to tell you that baby in the womb is a bunch of cells. It's a lump of cells. It's not a human. You're free to make your own choice. Whatever makes you happy, go do it. And man, I've got to tell you, man, don't buy that lie, because it's going to be hard for you to grow up as a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, because the world they're going to continue to tell you, man, if you believe that, you're against us. You're closed-minded. You're old-fashioned. And man, I got to tell you, truth is never old-fashioned. Truth never goes out of style. And so, man, you keep sticking up for the things that are right and the things that are true, even when it's unpopular, even when people tell you, hey, you're weird. People don't think like that anymore. This isn't the 20s anymore. People are probably going to call you names. They're going to, and it gets easier as you get older, by the way, because you don't have to go to school with those people every day that are mean to you. But you keep sticking up for truth, because God sees, and God sees you. He knows you. He cares about you. And man, keep sticking up for truth. Even if it's unpopular, it's going to continue to get more unpopular. And you keep sticking up for truth, because truth, it never goes out of style. So I think it's awesome that you guys do a youth rally, by the way. And I hope so many kids come to this. So many teenagers come to this.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thanks again. And we'll see you all January 18th for the March for Life rally, and day before for the conference and rally. So thanks again for joining us all.
Yeah. All right. See ya. Thank you, guys.